Then since we're both girls, let's get along. You see, Maho, you don't understand. You don't understand how Moeka works here. You see, she's what we call a shut-in neat.
Good morning. Yeah! Then let us begin, yeah? This operation name is...
Look at her little... Look at her little panda hoodie. How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Steins Gate 0. And last time, we jumped to another world line. And apparently in this one, things happened a little differently than before. Kagari apparently went to see her family, quote unquote. And because Maho was apparently had her hotel ransacked, and there's like a gas leak supposedly at Wako City, the little laboratory thing that they had going on. She and Moeka are staying at FARIS's for her safety. And while there, we had a little bit of hijinks of the two girls who just cannot take care of themselves having a room together where it basically looks like a tornado ripped through the entire place. And then we did an interview for Moeka, because she can't do one herself, interviewing Maho about basically AI and why it's really, really hard for AI to be like a human brain is. So that's pretty much where we ended. So now we're here. In Maho's head. So let's just get right into it, huh?
Oh, oops.
Maho quickly choked back her yawn and looked around to see if anyone saw her. There were other people doing the same thing she was, leaning up against the railing of the bridge and killing time. Of course, they were all too focused on themselves to pay her any mind. She'd planned on spending the day at FARIS's house, taking care of the paperwork left over from the office's temporary closure. But this morning, she'd gotten a call from Dr. Leskinen that had sent her hurrying to Tokyo Denki University. Tokyo Denki had, it seemed, offered them a temporary room at the school while their office was closed. Dr. Leskinen had called Dr. Izuki at Tokyo Denki, who had given it to them without a second thought. So now she had decided to pay the new office a visit and discuss what they planned to do for the future. The Kanda campus for Tokyo Denki University wasn't that far away from Akihabara, it seemed.
Sure is a nice day out, though.
The sky that poked out between the buildings had the clear color that was unique to winter. She'd spent the whole of yesterday cooped up inside her room, so the cold air felt good. She crossed her arms and reached upwards. Like freaking Mayuri.
She sure is late, though.
The reason she was standing here was that she was waiting for Moeka.
Oh, there she is.
Sorry, almost there. Sorry. No hurry, take your time. Thank you.
She didn't have to come all this way.
Maho didn't know the way to Tokyo Denki, so Moeka had kindly offered to take her there. And she'd asked for something in exchange.
I want to take a picture of you. Dr. Hiajo. I want to put it in the article.
Maho didn't really like having her picture taken, but if Moeka was nice enough to interview her, she wanted to do everything she could to help. Moeka had gone back to her home to get her camera. She said it was close enough to walk, so Maho had decided to just wait.
She's always so excited on Rhine, though.
She closed her phone and looked up. And then she saw Moeka directly under the bridge, running towards her. Moeka running? Okay. I don't think we've ever heard of Moeka running, except for maybe when she was... No, I don't even think she was running when she was revealed to be part of CERN in the other game. This is the first time, like, it's like hard to even picture her running because she's so, like, shy and whatever.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Dr. Hiajo.
You didn't need to hurry so much.
You want to take a break? No, I'm fine.
Moeka went around in front of Maho and started to walk ahead. The year had just started, and the subway was empty. Maho had decided to take a closer look at Moeka, who was standing next to her and grabbing onto one of the handles.
Huh?
Moeka realized she was being watched and tilted her head. Then she took out her phone and started to type.
Huh?
Maho's phone suddenly rang at the bottom of her bag. She'd just received a Rhine message. What's up? I see. So we can talk on the train like this. It feels strange talking to you on Rhine when we're right next to each other. Yeah, get used to it. You didn't look like you were doing well. It may just have been my imagination. Moeka's expression didn't change much, but Maho thought that didn't mean she had no feelings. When she looked into Moeka's thin, pretty eyes, she could see that she was an interested observer of many things. Maybe that's what you'd expect from a writer. Sorry to worry you. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Sorry, whoa. I'll make sure you get to Denki U, Dr. Hiajo. It's weird being called Dr. Hiajo. Blah? It's weird? Yup. You don't have to call me doctor both in the real world and on Rhine. Let's be a little more informal. Sorry. But then what do I call you? Just call me by my name. That's what you do for Okabe, right? Jealous? That's because he's a student and younger than me. You can treat me the same way. We'll be roommates for a while, and we're both about the same age. So how about we call each other Moeka and Maho? You would never tell by looking at them, but Maho and Moeka were only a year apart. And Maho was 21, and Moeka was 20, which meant that she was the older of the two. Maho couldn't help but wonder what kind of deal you had to make with God to get that height and those voluptuous breasts. Maho, come on. No way. I've never called anyone by the first name. I'd be too nervous. Then how about Kiryu and Hiajo? Please be one of the few friends I've got in Japan. Got it, will do. Okay. Then try saying it now. Haha. Moeka suddenly jerked upright and opened her eyes wide.
Here? Now?
Yeah. Maho nodded at Moeka's whispered question. If we're doing it, I want to start now. But, like I just said, I'm really not good at talking to people. Really? I thought you were just nervous because Okabe was with us last night. Like you're the kind of person who gets nervous around the opposite sex. It's true that when I talk to men, I get even more nervous. In other words, when it's just girls, it's not so bad that you can't talk. Well, maybe. Then since we're both girls, let's get along. You see, Maho, you don't understand. You don't understand how Moeka works here. You see, she's what we call a shut-in neat. She is racked with social anxiety. You can't just make it go away. Although I suppose that's one way to start, is just to force her to do the thing she fears, right? So sometimes I think that would work. I know. How about this? When it's just the two of us, how about we try to talk in person instead of Rhine as much as we can? As though it's like a eureka concept, you know? Like, I've got it. Let's actually talk out loud when we're together and not over the phone. How's that sound? That's funny. I'd be less bored with someone to talk to. If you're going to be a writer for a magazine, I think it'd be a good chance to practice, don't you? Okay, I'll do my best. Moeka seemed to steel herself, and then turned towards Maho.
Hiacho. Thank you for your help with this.
Yeah, you too, Kiryu.
The train arrived at their station. Progress, growth, and it only took her freaking senpai to do it. The area around Tokyo Denki was quiet. Moeka told her that the surrounding areas were offices and government buildings, which meant at this time of the year, there was almost no one around. She felt bad, but decided to have Moeka wait outside. The school was still on break, so she could have waited in one of the rooms on campus, but Moeka had refused. That's weird.
Okay, I'll call you when I get out.
She split up with Moeka. Maho got very lost on her way to Izuki's lab. The school was completely empty because of the break, so she couldn't ask anyone. In the end, she had to call Dr. Leskinen and get detailed instructions. A letter was taped to the door marked Dr. Izuki's lab. The letter had a photo of a smiling Dr. Leskinen, along with some low-resolution text that looked like it was directly printed from a PC screen.
For immediate release, Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization, Japanese Office Prep Room. The founder of this establishment, Alexis Leskinen, has a request. If everyone who saw this donated just $1, I could eat a can of Odin right now. He loves this stuff so much.
No matter how formal the setting, when the professor wanted to tell a joke, he'd do it. He really was just like a child. But his carefree personality let Maho and Kudits relax and enjoy their work. Suddenly, remembering Kudits made her heart ache a little. She suddenly realized that her sudden change of address, coupled with living with a person she'd barely even met, was taking its toll on her. Today, she'd finally get the chance to talk to her again. Or, more accurately, the memories she'd left behind.
Professor? Dr. Leskinen?
When she stepped inside the lab and called the professor's name, the giant in the back came running to greet her. Hey, Maho! Thanks for coming! Welcome to our powered-up prep room!
Huh. So, this table and 2 sofas are our powered-up prep room, huh?
Yes! They say simplicity is the secret key to the truth. Do they not?
Who says that?
I do! The professor clapped his hands and laughed. Maho ignored him and went to sit on the sofa. He didn't seem hurt. Now then, about our future plans.
Oh, sorry. I want to boot up Amadeus. Just give me a second.
She took out her laptop and put it on the table. Her OS, a Linksys variant customized for research purposes, booted up and displayed the login screen. Maho typed in her account name the same way she'd done 1,000 times before. Oh, it's not gonna work, is it? He locked her out. Salary. For just a moment, she stared at the letters in her account name. She quickly put in the password and called up the desktop. And before long, Kudits appeared on the screen.
It's been a long time, Maho.
A long time? We just talked 2 days ago.
That was an emergency. It didn't count. And even besides that, we haven't gotten to talk much lately.
It's my fault. We were testing.
During Okabe and Kudits' communication test, Maho and Dr. Leskinen had avoided talking to Amadeus to keep from adding noise to the experiment.
Not that Okabe's talked to me a lot lately, though.
Are you two maybe meeting without telling me?
You were together 2 days ago, after all. What? I told you it's not like that. Where do you get these delusions that everything in the world is about romance? It's not a delusion. It's a highly accurate hypothesis based off of calm, dispassionate observation and analysis. If you like that stuff so much, maybe you should have majored in it. Though, given how totally wrong you are, you probably wouldn't have graduated, let alone get your doctorate.
Dr. Leskinen brought his hands together in an exaggerated motion. It feels like it's been so long since I've seen this. It used to be I could always find you wherever you were on campus. Because I could always hear you yelling at each other.
Come on, Professor, stop joking around.
It just means that you're very close. You two are like sisters. Now, let's get this meeting started. We need to talk about our future plans. The person who uses their time most efficiently wins. That's another of my great quotes. I want some music. Kuritz, can you play me something?
Sure.
A soft piano melody began to play from the laptop's speakers.
This... Maho, do you remember? It's the song that brought us together.
She'd never forget. It was what had brought them together a year ago. And it was the symbol of their relationship. Is it Mozart? A year ago, in September of 2009, Kuritz had officially joined the Brain Science Institute. She'd completed the graduate school's doctorate program in May of that year, and had only turned 17 in July. Maho herself had joined the Brain Science Institute at an extremely young age, but her record had been beaten by quite a lot. Kuritz was a genius. Everyone who met her could tell. Dr. Leskinen had been Kuritz's advisor during the program, so Maho had met her several times. And that was enough to tell her that Kuritz was different. Kuritz never showed off her own talents. Actually, she didn't seem to think of herself as particularly intelligent at all. But that actually made it a little hard for people around her to approach her. Whenever you talked to Kuritz, you were forced to realize that there was a gap between you and her that could never be erased. She'd learned later from Dr. Leskinen that things had been the same in grad school. It was rumored that was the real reason she'd come to America from Japan at the age of 11. No matter what she wanted, no matter where she lived, she was cut off from the people around her. That was what it meant to be a genius like her. Since Maho was a girl too, and close to her in age, she actually considered Kuritz more of a rival. Since they were working in the same field, they were going to be compared, and she didn't want to lose. Maybe that was why Maho had never thought of going to talk to her. And Kuritz was so busy learning how to work at the lab that she'd never come to talk to Maho. But then 2 weeks after Kuritz came to the lab, a certain classical song had changed their relationship forever.
And play.
There were two types of people in the world. Those who worked better with music, and those who worked better with silence. From a brain science perspective, the idea that you could concentrate better with music was sheer nonsense. Whether you were aware of it or not, the sound was vibrating your eardrums, and your brain was continually analyzing it. But if there was ever a public debate on the subject, Maho would want to take the first position. Theory and feelings were different. You could concentrate best with music in the background, and you could be more creative. But there was one condition. No lyrics?
The song has to be composed by Mozart.
Okay. Maho whispered to herself as she turned toward the computer. She'd been running a patch on some equations for 2 full days, and it had finally completed. Today, she was going to spend the whole day analyzing the output. It was Saturday, so she was the only person in the lab. This was the one day she had this whole huge space to herself. So, she decided to play Mozart's 11th Sonata from the speakers, not her headphones. She didn't intend to pay any attention to the music. This was more like a ritual she needed in order to concentrate. It was a warm-up exercise before she could dive into a sea of numbers and equations. Once she dove in, she wouldn't need it anymore, so she simply stopped hearing it. She stopped seeing everything around her, too. All she saw was the numbers and equations. All that was in her head were numbers and equations. All that was left was a thinking machine named Maho. Her mind left behind the bonds of her physical body, and the speed of her thoughts accelerated towards the infinite. It was time for another fun journey.
Good morning.
Someone suddenly whispered in her ear, and Maho jumped out of her chair, lost her balance, and fell. She looked up and saw Kudets staring down at her, beginning to panic.
I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd be so surprised. Kudets? Don't scare me like that. I called your name a bunch of times, but you didn't seem to hear me. Oh.
Maho stood up and sat back in her chair.
Sorry. I was focusing so much I didn't hear you. Yeah, I thought so.
Then you should have left me alone. Maybe Kudets could tell she was thinking that because she quickly added,
I feel bad about it, but since I'd run into you on a weekend, I thought I should say something. And you seemed like you just started, so I didn't think I'd be a bother. Did you just get here? Yeah. I thought I'd be the only one here. I'm surprised.
Then Maho realized something was strange.
You said you just got here, right? So how did you know I'd only just started working? Oh, because...
Kudets pointed to the speakers.
You're still at the start of the first movement. K331, Mozart's Piano Sonata number 11 in A major. First movement. You like Mozart? I just know a little about him. And it's really more that I just like this song. The Turkish March is more popular, but the melody in the first movement feels so much more pleasant, doesn't it? I agree. I'm so glad! Whenever I'm really trying to focus, I put Mozart on in the background. It's not a very scientific thing to do, I know.
Maho couldn't help but laugh as she realized Kudets was saying the same thing she'd said earlier. In the 2 weeks since Kudets had joined the team, Maho hadn't been quite sure how to deal with her, but now she wanted to know a little more. So she used the signal her coworkers always used when they wanted to take breaks.
Wanna get some coffee? Sounds great. There's a bunch of stuff I wanted to ask you.
As she watched Kudets follow her, filled with energy, she was reminded of the pet dog she used to have. But later she would realize that that was one of the things that made Kudets cute. She got 2 hot coffees from the lab coffee machine, and the two of them talked about their research for a while. It must have been a strange sight. 20-year-old Maho and 17-year-old Kudets debating the latest developments in cerebral physiology while drinking coffee out of paper cups. Is that a weird thing? I mean, I don't feel like that's weird. But the two of them realized that since they'd never had someone of the same sex and age to work with, these conversations were a big help to both of them. Having the older Maho around must have been a particularly big help to Kudets. Once in a while, Kudets would still call her senpai, the Japanese word for an upperclassman or more senior colleague.
You know, I once heard that Einstein liked to play the violin. He seemed to have a lot of respect for Mozart. Maybe it's a tradition for scientists to like Mozart. If that's true, then it's an honor.
Dude, Maho's hair, she's just got like a straight up freaking... It's like, it goes all the way down, like she's gotta be sitting on it. So long. After a short debate about their work, the two of them talked about Mozart until they finished their coffee. After she'd had a real conversation with Kudets, Maho realized that she was totally different than her first impression. Every time she spoke, she'd smile or pout. It was adorable to watch. But the only thing she had in common with most people her age was her appearance. She was a genius.
Do you know what Einstein said when someone asked him what death meant to him? No. What did he say? Death means not getting to listen to Mozart anymore. It's a fairly famous phrase in Japan.
Death means not getting to listen to Mozart anymore. It was a more romantic phrase than she'd expect from the Einstein she thought she knew.
I had no idea. Einstein said that, huh? No, he didn't. Huh? Well, to be completely accurate, we can't prove that he didn't say it, but at least there are no records of it. What do you mean?
Kudets smiled and put her finger up to her lips.
A book that was published in Japan a long time ago had that phrase as a quote from another biography. But the Japanese book didn't specify which biography they got the quote from, and no one has ever found it. So the author made it up? Sheesh. We can't prove that, so we can't be totally sure. But I think these words are very much what a logical man like Einstein would say. Logical? Yes, because once you're dead, you can't listen to Mozart, right? Of course not. Yes, of course not. Once you're dead, you can't listen to anything at all, not just Mozart. Thus, the statement is true. See? Logical, right? You're very interesting, you know that? Intelligence and childishness all wrapped up in the same brain. I'm not childish. Sorry. I know it's a bit late, but it's a pleasure to be working with you, Kudets.
Maho offered her hand, and Kudets shook it with a smile. Kudets' hand was warm.
You too, Maho.
Mozart had brought the two of them together. Kudets was a child beloved by God. Everyone was amazed and astonished by her unmatched creativity. Everyone, including, of course, Maho. Something. It felt like she had to remember something important.
Good morning.
Yeah!
Someone suddenly whispered in her ear, and Maho jumped off the sofa.
What?
Kuditz was right. At some point, Dr. Leskinen had picked up the laptop and taken it behind Maho's back. Kuditz was on the screen, laughing at her. Evidently, the professor had brought it close to Maho's ears and made Kuditz whisper to her.
You were just in your concentration mode, weren't you? No matter how many times the professor called your name, you wouldn't come out of your little world. Oh. Sorry.
I'm impressed that you can continue your research even while this emergency's going on. The professor put the laptop back on the table and sat in the sofa across from her. And then they started the meeting. She discussed their future plans with the professor. One of the options that came up was going back to America. Something kept bugging Maho the whole time during the meeting. When she was remembering how she'd met Kuditz, she was also remembering something else. Salary. Maho's user account name. She'd picked it a month after Kuditz had died. For some reason, she couldn't stop thinking about it. After she finished her meeting with Dr. Leskinen and left the school, she realized it had started to rain.
Huh. So it did rain. Japan's weather reports are surprisingly accurate. I wonder if Kiryu stopped in some shop somewhere.
Just as she went to take out her phone and send a message to her, she got a message of her own from Kuditz. It was fun talking with Sawayama today. Tell me about Okabe next time. I had fun too. I've said this before, but it's not like that. Yeah. Yeah. Little ghetto froggy. She was about to snap and say something back when she saw Moeka in her field of vision. Up. She'd opened her folding umbrella and was crouching by the side of the road with her phone out. When Maho approached, she saw a flower blooming between the asphalt and shrubbery. Moeko was trying to take a picture of it.
Sorry, Kiryu. I'm done.
Moeka looked up and opened her mouth hesitantly.
Hiacho.
Maho was happy that she said her name.
You were taking pictures of the flowers. Yeah.
Moeka nodded and looked back toward the ground. There was a tiny flower blooming where the asphalt met the shrubbery. There was no other flower like it in view. The wind must have brought it here. The flower's color was striking, but something, perhaps the rain, made it look sickly. Moeka took a picture of it. And then another, and another. The umbrella in her hand seemed to be stopping her from taking a good picture.
Want me to hold your umbrella? No, I'm fine. It's fine, it's fine.
Aw. Maho practically yanked the umbrella out of Moika's hands.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Wholesome! Moika used both hands to steady her camera. Then when it came into focus, she pressed the button. A moment later, she stood up, satisfied.
I got a good photo. I'm all set.
Were you getting ready for my portrait?
Moika shook her head.
I can't take your picture. It's raining. I always take pictures of landscapes.
You like taking photos?
Moika shook her head again.
It's proof. Proof of where I was today.
Proof?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And then she heard the sound that meant she'd received a Rhine message.
Is that from Credits again?
I got one too. It's from FARIS.
From FARIS?
Disaster, Nia. What? The 314th prophecy of Fatima has come to pass, Nia. The hearts of men have lost their will to believe, and the seal created by the sacrifice of the ancient Incan civilization has been broken, Nia. It's only a matter of time before the dark god, the master of Pluto, revives, Nia. Not only the Earth, but the whole galactic federation is in danger, Nia. Summon the House of Lords and the Senate immediately, Nia. The president is missing, but I'm sure he's flown off in Air Force One or something to fight the enemy himself, Nia. I'll start the ceremony to seal him away once more, Nia. I want you to buy time for me until it finishes, Nia. Thanks. Wait, what are you talking about? Blah? That was a joke, Nia. Sorry. But really, oh wait, I can't wait. That. But really, there's big trouble, Nia. Okay. Blah? What happened? I'll explain later, Nia. What? You can't just say that and then say, like, you can't say there's trouble, but I'll explain later. Goodbye. What do you mean? There's a critical mission I want you to do before you head back to the condo, Nia. Oh, okay.
Huh?
Both Maho and Moika looked at each other, confused by FARIS's strange message.
Welcome, both of you, Nia. The time limit approaches, but there's still time, Nia. Is everything ready, Nia? It's ready. Yes. Then let us begin, Nia. This operation name is...
Look at her little... Look at her little panda hoodie. Oh, that's cute. I like that. What the frick is this? That's funny. They got like little jammies. Why is yours like... That's rather seductive for jammies. What the heck? Okay. That's funny.
All-night Cinderella Girls Secret Party. Shocking sleepy confessions. Nya! What's wrong, you two? You're so low energy, Nia. We don't get many chances to have a girls' night. Let's have fun, Nia. I guess we can. But I didn't think that the important mission you had for us was skipping dinner.
The two of them had suddenly gotten a message that FARIS was having a girls' party that night. FARIS had asked them to skip dinner so that they'd have empty stomachs for the party. And both Maho and Moeka had done so. Yo, straight up, Moeka, like... that's not jammas. That is not the type of jammas you just wear naturally.
Okay, eat whatever you want, Nia. I bought something a little pricey for the cakes and ice cream, Nia.
FARIS started to rummage through the plastic convenience store bags with a smile. Normally, FARIS acted like she was rich, and in fact, she was rich, so she could have easily purchased the most expensive cake that either of them had ever tasted. But she realized that the right cakes and ice cream for a party like this were the ones that you got at a convenience store, and she purchased them there without any hesitation. Maho thought that must be one reason why the customers and maids at May Queen admired her so much. She'd been working short-staffed at May Queen since the start of the year, so it had to have been hard. But she wasn't showing any signs of exhaustion at all.
What's wrong, Maho Nyan? Did you fall in love with FARIS, Nyan? I always love it when girls fall in love with me, Nyan. What? It's not like that. Don't be so embarrassed, Nia. I'm happy you seem to like your present too, Nia. Those panda pajamas look great on you, Nia. Just as I thought. It's not that I like them. It's just rude to not wear something that's a gift.
Yeah, that's what they all say. I like it though. I like the little panda hoodie. It's cute.
The hooded panda pajamas that Maho was wearing were a gift from FARIS.
I don't mind the fact that it fits perfectly, but this is definitely a child's size. You're like a little doll, so I'm sure anything looks good on you, Maho Nyan. Stop calling me that, I said. And please, don't think you're going to make me wear a different pair of animal pajamas every day. Nya? What? Maho Nyan, can you read minds, Nya? How did you know I already had a week's worth lined up, Nya? You already bought them?
Just as Maho was starting to realize that FARIS was just toying with her, Moeka was covering her mouth with her hand and trying not to laugh.
Kiryu? Moe Nyan? Sorry. I didn't mean to laugh, but...
Maho saw Moeka smile for the first time, so this was how she smiled.
Moe Nyan! That smile is so cute, Nia! Let me see more, Nia!
I freaking... Okay. I knew it. As soon as I knew it. They can't help themselves, dude. They can't help themselves. They're so freaking, they're writing these stories. They're just so freaking horny. They can't help themselves, dude. What the frick?
FARIS's eyes sparkled in the dim light. Without warning, she leapt upon Moeka and started to tickle her sides.
Tickle, 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 tickle!
What's up with everyone tickling, by the way? First it was Fubuki to Mayuri, and now it's like it's contagious.
Stop it! Stop!
Yeah, same. Same, Maho. That face is pretty accurate. Moeka was evidently very vulnerable to tickling. She squirmed as tears formed in her eyes, and she started to gasp for air.
No! I feel like I'm doing something naughty, Nya.
Yeah. Faris backed off as Moeka panted and gasped for breath.
It sure is amazing, though.
Yeah. Faris and Maho looked at each other and spoke.
An amazing rack, Nya.
Oh my gosh. Come on.
Moeka was wearing a crimson baby doll as her pajamas. A crimson baby doll? What does that mean? Is that a type of pajamas? Is that beyond my culture? Is that a never heard of that before. It was the kind of adult lingerie that you could never imagine a girl like her wearing. Ah, got you, okay. See, it is adult lingerie. That's what I thought. It looks like it is. The heck are you wearing that at a freaking sleepover? Hello? Of course, she seemed unaware of this, and had seemingly only chosen it because it was easy to move around in. Yeah, yeah, alright, sure. But with Moeka's natural proportions, she ended up looking incredibly seductive. And on top of that, when her massive breasts shook as Faris tickled her, even Maho felt a little strange. As do I.
Sorry. Sorry.
Moeka apologized as she gasped for breath. Maho shook her head to drive away the strange feelings.
Well, whatever. Okay, let's start the party. Okay. Bring the chilled drinks, Neon. Tonight, no one gets any sleep, Neon.
No one gets any sleep was Faris's idea of a joke. She had work early next morning. The party lasted exactly 2 hours, and they talked the whole time. Actually, Faris talked the whole time, and Maho and Moeka would occasionally answer. At most sleepovers, girls talked about fashion and romance, maybe, but these girls weren't interested in those things. Instead, they talked about work and their futures. It was fun to see a different side of each other as they spoke. Moeka, for instance.
I'm writing a novel. For fun.
Heck yeah, you are. You're also probably still part of CERN, which sucks, but hey, I appreciate that part of you. Let's go.
She said she'd been reading one of the web novels that were popular lately and had decided to write one herself. And what's more, she said it was a romance with some really steamy scenes.
Oh, is it now? Okay.
Let me read it, Nya. I can't. I haven't even finished the first chapter.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, maybe you are a writer. Always have the ideas, never have the execution. Yeah. Always find something else to do. It's like, yeah, I could take a picture. I could write, or I could take a picture of these flowers on the side of the road here. Literally find anything to do other than write.
Moeka refused, but Faris and Maho made her promise to let them see it when it was finished. Faris had something surprising to say too.
I'm not going to quit being a maid, but I want to get married, Neon. I want a lot of kids, Neon.
Oh? How are you gonna do that? Isn't that the whole jealousy thing, right? Like, that's what Okabe said in the first game to Mayuri, right? He's like, you can't feed me chicken. If you feed me chicken, everyone's gonna feel betrayed because you're the maid cafe girl, because they have their weird, like, fantasy worlds that they live in. How are you gonna get married and do that at the same time? FARIS had lost her family when she was young, so she wanted a big family of her own, and as soon as possible. It was probably going to be a very lively family. For the last 30 minutes, FARIS talked Maho into giving a lecture on AI research. Maho gave a slightly less formal version of the interview she'd done yesterday. She talked about the framing problem, about Amadeus, and about a future where AIs surpassed humans. FARIS was interested in more than anime culture. She was into technology and gadgets as well, and she paid close attention to what Maho had to say. But as Maho spoke, she realized that Moeko was starting to look depressed. What the heck does that mean?
Kiryu? What's wrong? You getting a little tired now? That's not it. I'm scared of the future. Scared of the future? Yeah. Once there's an AI that's better than humans, I think a lot of people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll probably be one of them. And that scares me.
So that was it, Maho thought to herself. Maho had only lived with Moeka for a few days, but she'd started to figure out her personality. She was a very pretty girl with amazing proportions and good at her job, but Moeka seemed to think she was worthless. She thought that nobody needed her, and that if someone better than her appeared, they would quickly take her place. And once that happened enough that there was no place left where she belonged, then what would happen to her? That scared her.
It's okay, Kiryu. That's right, Nia. You don't need to worry, Nia. I don't have any special talents or smarts like you two. Anyone can take my place. Anyone can do a better job than me.
Aw, that's sad. Oh.
I'm not as talented as you two. So what? So someone could take your place. So someone's better than you. So what? Mahonyan? There are a lot of scientists who are more talented than I am. And maybe someday an AI I invent will write a paper better than I ever could. But so what? At Dr. Leskinen's lab at Victor Condria University, the nearest desk to the entrance is my seat. The door wasn't put on right, and the wind always blows through it. And you can always hear people chattering in the hallway. But it's my seat. Even if the universe itself were to end, I'm not giving that seat up to anyone. Even if a more talented scientist or a more talented AI wants it, I'm not giving it up. I won't tell you that no one can take anybody else's place. That's just a platitude. There really aren't that many jobs in society where you're truly irreplaceable. But that doesn't mean you have to just hand everything over.
That's right.
Because I'm me, not someone else. I am me. And it doesn't matter how talented you are. Let's say there was a biorobot that was identical to FARIS right now, to the molecular level, and it could do a better job of serving you than she could. I'd still rather ask FARIS. Even if it cost me 10 times or 100 times more, I wouldn't ask the robot. There's no real reason for this. I just want to drink the tea she makes me. That's what I'm saying.
Aw.
So,
Maho was getting so emotional, she didn't know what to say next. She realized that Moeka and FARIS were staring at her in shock.
sorry. I just kind of... I am me. Maybe I am.
Moeka smiled a little.
Maho-nyan!
The next instant, FARIS was on top of her, squeezing her tight.
Wait! What's going on?
FARIS was smiling at her with dewy eyes.
That was so moving, Nya. I didn't realize Mew loved me so much. I love Mew too. I'll make you tea for the rest of your life, Nya. Huh? Is that what I just said?
The next few minutes were a struggle to stop FARIS from rubbing her face against her cheek.